sure everybody understands is as we record, if anybody has an issue with this, either A, let me know, or B, I'll ask you to not comment on things you don't want to or whatever, but we do share this with other stroke survivors. And we've kind of gone through a stage where we've done some research and made sure that it was okay to do, because of course we don't want to mess up anything for SAO or anything like that, but we can share it in a small part, at least, with our database and stuff. And so we're going to continue to do that because I think it's critically important. And we talked about this last time, as I know, and everybody agreed that it's important that we get the word out to everybody who can't always come to these meetings. And it's encouraging, and we feel very blessed that we can do this. And we also feel good about helping other people. And so having said that, we are going to record. So thank you guys, all of you, for joining in today. We're going to have Rachel speak with us today with Destination Rehab, but I'll get to that in just a second. I would like to ask if anybody has questions or anything, please raise your hands, because we're getting to a little bit bigger group here. And so because of that, if everybody talks amongst themselves, it gets confusing to hear and to, make sure everybody gets a chance. I like to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk, if at all possible. And so if you do have a question, just raise your hand, wave at us, or you can do the hand raise on the notes section of this. So without anything else, today we have a special guest for us. It's Dr. Rachel Ritter with Destination Rehab. And I think the topic is how breathing is an untapped superpower, and how it affects balance and posture and anxiety and strength. And so a little bit about Rachel before she kicks off here, I'll tell you guys. So Rachel grew up in Park City, Utah. She received her Doctor of Physical Therapy from the University of Utah. She's been in Bend since 2020 and has a large amount of experience with different rehab institutions and hospitals. You guys, of course, could read about her in Destination Rehab's website. One of her focuses is on stroke. And so we feel very privileged to have her come with us here today. And so welcome, Rachel.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so I'm going to have you just go ahead and kick it off, and then we'll have question and answer as we go, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you again for having me. Great introduction, Keith. We're going to talk about the superpower of breathing. So a little bit about me, shamelessly, I just had my first baby about 10 months ago. This is her here in the top left. Her name is Nova. She's a lot of fun. This is her at the coast this last weekend. And below her, oh, hold on, is my fur baby, Marty. He was my first baby, but there he is. They both love sand, I guess. And then up here is my lovely partner, Dan. I love all things outdoors, and I really love neuro rehab. So I work at Destination Rehab. We specialize in neurological physical therapy in the outdoors, conveniently enough. Yeah, so let's get started on what I want to accomplish today for this presentation. So to start, we will discuss the soda can model of postural support. We'll get a little bit more into the diaphragm and vocal cords and how those relate. We'll discuss the importance of posture, and then we'll get into breathing strategies that you can use today. All right, don't mind my fun artwork, but the credit for this soda can model of postural support goes to Mary Massery. She is another physical therapist and guru in the world of breathing and postural support. I just drew this happy face on this can just for fun. But when we're talking about the soda can of postural support, this is kind of our trunk. Everyone's trunk can be thought of like a soda can, okay? And broken into 3 valves. So at the top here are our vocal cords. That's that top valve, kind of the gatekeepers of all the air that travels in and out. In the middle here, we have our diaphragm. It's nice and dome shaped. And then on the bottom, holding everything up, is our pelvic floor. So the key for this soda can is pressure equals stability, right? So if you were to open the pop top on the can, pour all the liquid out, you could easily crush the can, right? But if we kind of keep that pressure regulated, that can stay nice and rigid and strong. So that's kind of the gist of the soda can model. Let's talk a little bit more about the diaphragm. So I have this nice little graphic here showing the action of the diaphragm, which is here in red. Again, this is a dome-shaped muscle that descends down into our abdominal cavity when we inhale and then ascends back up on the exhale. I want you to really pay attention to what's happening above the diaphragm, our rib cage, and where our lungs are. Everything needs to really expand and open on the inhale. And then as we exhale, everything comes back together and the diaphragm relaxes. So keeping this in mind, posture is very important for how this diaphragm works. So we're going to do a little demonstration here. I think most of you are already sitting. And of course, you're not slouching, but I want everyone to slouch. The worst slouchy posture you can possibly get. You can bring your head forward. And what I want you to do in this slouched posture is just take a few breaths and notice what's happening with your breath.
Restricted.
A little restricted, right? I personally feel a little bit more pressure in my chest, maybe a little in my throat, through my back, and I definitely can't take very big breaths. So now I want everyone to try to sit up nice and tall, shoulders back, roll forward on your pelvis, and we're going to repeat that same thing. So big inhale. And just notice how that changes, how much bigger, hopefully, the breath was that you were able to get. So this is like an essential topic or a concept when we're talking about postural stability, right? Our posture really matters and how stable we are. I put this little towel roll at the bottom here because sometimes it's really challenging to sit up tall. Some of us sit a lot during the day. So really think about putting a towel roll behind your lower part of your back, and that just helps facilitate that forward posture, that nice upright posture, so we can breathe and have support through our trunk even when we're sitting. And I like these stacked rocks here. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the vocal cords. So the vocal cords are here. This is kind of a little cross image of what they look like. On the left, we see vocal cords that are open. And like I mentioned during the can slide, the vocal cords, I want you to think of them as the gatekeepers of pressure or air that comes in. Whereas the diaphragm is more the billows, right? It does the work, the hard lifting. So over on the left here, the vocal cords are open. This is just during normal breathing. You're not talking, you're just sitting, inhaling and exhaling. On the right here, vocal cords are closed. So as you might imagine, this is when you inhale and maybe hold your breath. Vocal cords are closed when we're holding our breath, no air exchange is happening. It is important to note that there is a stage in between these where the vocal cords can be partially open. And that's what's happening right now as I'm talking to you. Our vocal cords are partially open. They're not all the way open. They're not fully closed, but there's some restriction happening, which is allowing me to talk to you right now. So what does this have to do with stability? So this was another little analogy I liked, is this is the vocal cord right here. A nice little visual. That's what allows air in and out, right? You can hold it shut, you can open it, and the air comes out quickly, or you can let it out nice and slowly and make that fun high-pitched sound. So keeping that in mind, talking about stability. So Mary Massery, again, same woman who developed that soda can model, she wanted to look at, are there different strategies, things I can do with my vocal cords that will affect my balance? And so what she did was put these test participants in a safety cage, if you will. And on their head, they put a device that measured their breathing. They had a harness on their trunk here, and from the front and the back, there was a little tether that pulled on them. And this was at random. So at random times, either the front string or the back string would pull, causing a balance disturbance. What was really measured in this study was how much this person's trunk or soda can moved. So how far in inches or millimeters, what have you, how far it was displaced by those poles. And then also how much weight was moved either through their toes or through their heels through the force plate at the bottom. So this is kind of a test that looked at, how is their balance responding during various glottal strategies or vocal cord strategies that Mary Massery identified. So this was all happening at the same time people were implementing these strategies with their vocal cords. And here are some of the strategies using this nice balloon analogy here. So one of the conditions was a sigh. So maximal inhalation and then letting all the air go out quickly, just relaxing and letting it go. Another was a breath hold. And at the top of the inhale, holding. So just staying with a nice full balloon and holding and getting the pull in that moment. Down here was voicing. So maximal inhale and either counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for their exhale, or just a sustained vowel like ah or something like that. And then the other one to know is just a breath hold, but at the bottom of the exhale. So maximally exhale and then hold at the bottom. So these participants in this study were in this safety cage performing these different vocal cord strategies while these balance perturbations or movements were occurring. And the gist is this. So the two best conditions for the glottal strategies or vocal cords was 1, a breath hold at the top of an inhale, and 2, voicing. But the key difference between the two is this. So while we're here, and you guys can just raise your hand or just in your video, wave. How many of you hold your breath when something is challenging or scary, or maybe you're working on balance in PT, holding your breath? Yeah, it seems like a subconscious thing, right? The body is very smart and the body wants to be stable. So what better way to stabilize than to suck in all my breath and stabilize my can, right? Nice and rigid and stable. When in fact, the optimal way to stabilize was voicing. So both of these conditions showed the same amount of displacement through the trunk, which was not very much, but the voicing was the only condition that showed very limited movement through that force plate down at the feet. So another way to think about this is think of a palm tree that just sustains, hundreds and hundreds of hours of really high winds, right? That palm tree needs to be strong and stable, but it can't be rigid, right? Because if it was rigid, it would snap and break in the wind right away, right? So it can be strong and flexible, but not rigid. Up here to the left, this would be more the breath hold condition. So a big, massive oak tree, nice and strong and rigid, but as soon as we get a really bad storm rolling through, that oak tree timbers like a tree, right? Because we don't have that flexibility to kind of respond and react. So that leads me right into my first breathing strategy that you all can try, and that's voicing. So according to this study, the best way to breathe, especially in situations that may be challenging physically or balance intensive, is to talk count or sing out loud. I know it sounds silly, but this really helps control that diaphragm, control that stability of your trunk, and provides that dynamic ability to respond to any losses in balance or coordination that might be required. So for all of you, I challenge you to try it. And I think the safest situation to try it in would be maybe if you're standing up and you're going to sit down, try maximal inhalation at the top of your stand, and then count, sing, or what have you on the way down, but voice something out loud and see how that changes your control of that entire movement. Don't worry about getting funny looks. Being stable is cool. I want you all to try it. All right, so that's breathing strategy number 1. And I will say there's a caveat here. I know that singing or talking can sometimes be distracting, especially in balance intensive situations. When in doubt, focus on the task at hand. But this is just something to play around with, maybe with your physical therapist during session, playing around with voicing. All right. So keeping that in mind with our voicing and postural control and breathing, let's talk about really quickly breathing during movement. So how many of you heard exhale on exertion? I have. I used to tell my clients that all the time. So exhale when something is hard. And to be fair, that is true, but in certain contexts. So instead of exhale on exertion, I want you to think stabilize during movement. That seems to make sense, right? So think back to that importance of posture. And when we're flexed and forward, think of how constricting that was on the diaphragm to expand, right? So generally, a good rule of thumb is when we inhale or when we're extending through our trunk, I want you to think inhale. Because what we're doing is it really expanding through our upper chest and rib cage for an inhale. And then when we exhale or flex forward, we flex. Okay, so in general, pairing an inhale to extending through your back and an exhale to flexing through your back. General rule of thumb. It's a lot more complicated than that, and we can get into the nitty-gritty, but we can talk about it at the end too. So that's breathing strategy number 2. Inhale to extend, exhale to flex. My third and perhaps most favorite point of this session is to treat your diaphragm like the muscle that it is. Okay, so there was a study by Freire et al. In 2019, and what they wanted to look at was if training your diaphragm or your inspiratory muscles could directly affect balance and physical performance. So knowing what we know now about the diaphragm and postural stability, this seems like something I would want to know, right? And the results were across the board, all test subjects demonstrated significant improvement in dynamic balance and physical performance just by training their diaphragm. So in this study, they used something like this device here called the breather. And all this device is you inhale into it or like against it, and there's some resistance inside. So it's a fancy way of doing diaphragmatic breathing. I can share this, Keith, with you as well if you want to send a link out to everyone.
Okay, yeah, I would.
Cool. But again, pretty amazing that you can just strengthen your diaphragm and improve not only balance, but physical performance. And I do want to note that this study was more or less repeated by Lee et al. In 2021, but this time with stroke survivors. And the cool thing was that not only did they find the same results with improvements in balance and physical performance measures, but they also showed improved mood. So their depression rating scores went down significantly, which is incredible.
Wow.
So pretty cool, leading into breathing strategy number 3, which is strengthen. Strengthen your diaphragm to improve balance and physical functioning. If there's one thing you take away from this presentation, it's that. So 2 ways to do that: invest in an inspiratory muscle trainer like the breather here and follow instructions for use, or you can start with just performing diaphragmatic or belly breathing daily. So let's talk a little bit about that diaphragmatic breathing. I have this nice little video. So just keeping in mind where the diaphragm sits and where it travels when we inhale is down into the abdomen here. So wherever you are, we're all gonna sit up nice and tall and find our nice posture. If you're able to put one hand on your chest, please do, and one hand on your belly. If not, just prioritize that belly hand. And what I want you to do is get ready. At the bottom of this next exhale, we're all gonna inhale, expand and push the belly out. Exhale, the belly comes back in. And the idea here is to keep that top hand, the chest, nice and still. We don't want movement up into the shoulders. We just want that belly moving out and moving back in. And this is really training. You can kind of feel it's a little bit uncomfortable, right? It doesn't feel very natural. But what you're doing is strength training, literally lifting weights by using gravity to strengthen your diaphragm. I'll show you one more time here. Inhale, push the belly out. And exhale, belly pulls back in. All right. How do I get out of this? Okay, so this kind of is a nice segue right into breathing to reduce stress. So the final superpower of breathing is not only controlling your posture, but it also decreases stress and enhances mood, which I think is probably a factor of that Lee et al. Study showing that improved mood, right? So in general, normal breathing rate for adults is about 15 to 20 breaths per minute. I did a very brief kind of review of studies out there. On average, about 6 breaths per minute is what's recommended to reduce stress. With the double bonus, diaphragmatic breathing is especially good to incorporate here. I think the idea is that you want to be as intentional as you can with thinking about your breathing. So that's breathing strategy number 4, slow and steady. So you can do this anywhere that you want, any time of day. What I want you to do is sit in a quiet, comfortable place. I like to set a timer for like 2 to 5 minutes. That way I don't have to worry about if I fall asleep and missing a presentation at SAO because I was breathing so much. But I like to set a timer just because I have that set time, and then I can really just focus on my inhales and exhales. And all you need to do, so this inhale to exhale ratio is 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. That equals exactly 6 breaths per minute. And what I want you to do is no counting allowed for this, but just think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wherever you are, just do a couple rounds of this at your own speed, counting at your own rate. You can even close your eyes if you want.
Okay, Debbie Miller sent me this.
Good. So the nice thing about breathing strategy number 4 is you can really do it as many times as you need during the day. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's a really nice way to check back in, to strengthen your diaphragm, but really to kind of help decrease stress and just kind of get present in that moment. All right, that went by fast, but in summary, it's all about regulating pressure. Our superpower is being able to control our breath and the pressure that moves in and out of our trunk. So reviewing all of those strategies that we talked about, number 1 is voicing. Engage your vocal cords, and this will help your postural stability during demanding activities, whether that's sitting to standing, whether that's, balance intensive activities on uneven surfaces, things like that. Play around with it. The second one is inhale to extend, exhale to flex. That way you're not fighting your skeleton, right? It's really hard to fight the bones in your body, just like we knew, or just like we noticed when we were slouched forward. Number 3 is strengthening your diaphragm, my favorite one. Strengthen your diaphragm by doing diaphragmatic breathing or investing in a breather, and this will improve your balance and physical functioning. And the last is slow breathing to help relax and quiet your nervous system. Think 6 breaths per minute or 5-second inhale to exhales. And you get double bonus, double points if you combine it with your diaphragmatic or belly breathing. All right, that is all I have for you all. Thank you very much. Breathe on. If you have any questions, throw them my way.
All right, so can we take the
Yep, let
You
me see
off.
how to do that.
so we can see everybody? Maybe Joey. There, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Great.
Good job.
Beth, go ahead.
I'm not seeing myself anywhere, but if you can hear me, that's good. The question I have is, I guess, is number 2, the breathing exercise number 2.
Yes.
What exactly does flex mean for exhaling on the flex?
Good question. So think of it all relative to, I'm going to stand up because I'm a PT and that's what we do, right? Think of it relative to your trunk. So if I bow forward, I'm flexing. If I stand up tall, I'm extending. It's all relative to your hips, I guess, in this situation. So flexion is forward or bow, and extension is extending back up. Does that make sense?
I think so, yes. It's
Okay.
not about relaxing. No.
No, the third one is about relaxing. So this is just breathing for activities throughout your day. Think about pairing your breathing with different movements.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Keith, I have one.
Yes, Jim.
Rachel, as we're talking
Yeah.
about breathing, one of the things that is all the rage out there right now on social media in particular is while you're sleeping, the benefit of mouth taping so that you breathe through your nostrils. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Good question. I'm going to say I'd have to look into it more. I personally value sleep over being uncomfortable personally. So I would say prioritize sleep before anything else and then kind of get into the nitty-gritty. I would almost practice, if you want to try nasal breathing, which from my understanding, nasal breathing can help facilitate more of that relaxation that we talked about with even breathing because of the olfactory nerve that is connected. I think it's very complicated and complex, but I would recommend trying something like that while you're awake first, and then maybe seeing about sleeping. I would hate to have anyone lose any sleep trying something like that. So I guess the long or short of it is I don't know enough about it to really advise on it. But I will look into it because I've heard the rage too.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Rachel, and if you covered this, I apologize, but going through your nose or through your mouth, does that make much of a difference on this?
Yeah, so great question. I think for this, go with your comfort. So I think the most important thing is to do the breathing first. You know, many people can't tolerate breathing through their nose, and that's totally fine. Nasal breathing is great for humidifying the air, right? It's a comfort thing, but I don't think it's a necessary thing when you're doing something like this.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do want to note too, I got the email from David over at Spark Rehab and Wellness. They're doing a whole functional breathing course. So this kind of is barely scraping the surface of that. So everyone here that is interested in this topic should definitely do that presentation or kind of workshop, because I think it's going to go into a lot more detail.
Is it in person?
I believe it's in person, yes.
Yeah, there's a ton of us who are not in the Bend area, but there are some are. So
okay, got you.
Kelly, Kim, did you have a question?
Not a question. I just wanted to add, thank you very much, Rachel. That was really beautiful. I'm a voice teacher. And so I I teach exactly what you're talking about. That you're sorry, honey. That's Zazu.
Hello.
That I do vocal exercises that build the diaphragm. I talk about it as a muscle. And I teach people that they have to breathe in with exactly, you know, I have them put their hand on my belly so they can feel it going out. So everything you're saying, and I love the, you know, just, you know, it's so great. And it is a muscle, and you can build that muscle. It is, I mean, so I'm just coming from a singer, you know, and also I'm a meditator. And so that breathing is so, so very important. So I'm just wanting to,
Reinforce it.
yes, thank you. That was the word. Reinforce
Perfect.
what you just taught. And it is something that's so important to practice,
Mhm,
our breathing, especially for our balance and everything that you said. Yeah,
mhm,
great.
definitely. Do you have a
Awesome.
breathing pattern that you like to use for meditation, or is it more just kind of
Well,
letting it flow?
no, I actually breathe through my nose for most of it. And then I do practice Kriya Yoga, which is mouth breathing. And it's a pranayam. It's a very specific, it's a scientific form of meditation. But what I teach, because I don't teach that, I teach just sitting up and breathing. And it's usually through your nose. Because I think
Gotcha.
most people, but I loved what you said. You know, if you can't breathe through your nose and it's breathing through your mouth works for you, yes, indeed. You know, there ought not to be such specifics that you can't join, that you can't be a part of it. And so we always have to start from where we are and grow out from that, you know.
Yep,
Very good.
exactly. We're all just breathing here in the world, you know?
Indeed.
Bridget's up next. Go ahead.
Okay, Rachel, thank you for everything. I know that you had everything in your PowerPoint. Is there any way that we could maybe get the bullets of the breathing
Yeah,
points emailed
I
to
was
us?
gonna send Keith kind of a summary and then a link to that breather if you were interested as well. Yeah,
Fantastic.
I could do that.
Thank you so much.
We'll send that out for you, Bridget. Great. Lonnie, did you have something? Whoop. Oh, wait.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Great, Rachel, great presentation. You know,
Thanks,
as
Lenny.
a 9-year stroke warrior, I don't think in the beginning I realized how important breathing was. And I realize it now. I have one of those little breathing devices that you showed.
Oh,
You know,
great.
they're available on Amazon.
Hmm.
What are
And
they called?
The breather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, aptly named.
Yeah, and they're just, you just go on Amazon, it pops up, it's blue and white, comes in a little box, easy to adjust, really easy to use and easy to learn to use. And so, and also, Rachel, if you would send the presentation to SAO, we'd love to put it on our website.
Cool. Yeah, I can do that.
Great job.
I can
Yeah.
make sure
you.
that happens, Rachel.
Oh, you know, the other thing I want to say, I looked this up because we have a tortoise, and the average, because they live like 98 to 100 years, and it's because of their breathing. They breathe an average of 4 breaths per minute.
Whoa.
So the more you slow your breath down, the longer longevity of life.
I love that.
It's true for us too.
That was pretty good. So I want to make a funny remark here, and then I want to keep asking people if they have anything. But when you were talking about strengthening your belly, you know, Rachel,
Uh-huh.
it showed the guy, and he had his hand on his chest and on his belly, and what if you have a big belly to start with, and you don't want to, you know, show off that big belly?
Hey, I think strengthening that diaphragm takes precedent over that. Do it in private, whatever you need to do, but make that belly move and,
All right.
and be proud of it. Be proud
All
of
right.
it.
I'm gonna tell my wife you said that. So just so you know.
Say you're strengthening your diaphragm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
No, you're good.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, Angel. And you're muted, Angel. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you because I was a singer before my stroke a year ago, and I have aphasia, but I sing everestly. My words is not good, but I sing. I sing with the singing. I sing with the everything. So I want to do the voice, the diaphragm, breathe with my voice. So thank you so much because I want to get back to singing.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know, one little sidestep here I'm going to talk about. So the last meeting that we had, we asked everybody what kind of things are, can we all talk about to come up, right? And different things we're doing. And singing is, it's a music part that we had done, gosh, it's probably been a couple of years ago when we did that. But really important stuff, music to all of us. And so we're going to be having that coming up as well. And so that was a great point, Angel, because the other thing, and well, I'm going to hold that thought. Anybody have any other questions for Rachel? We good? Rachel, thank you so much for that. That was
Yeah, you're welcome.
And you can hang on, you can stick with us if you want. We're going to just go through some, pluses and minuses of some things here. Very good. And if you don't mind sending me what you can so I can get it out to everybody, that would be fabulous. We'd really appreciate that.
Cool.
And,
No problem.
we appreciate all you guys at Destination Rehab. Actually, you guys do a fabulous job, and you're growing. It looks like you're attracting people. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's been good. It's been really good. It's fun, but we always love, I love coming to these meetings because it's, you're why we do what we do. So,
well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you very much. So everybody, thank you so much, Rachel. So I'm going to move forward, and you can stay or go. It's up to you, Rachel.
Sounds good.
All right. That was awesome. I'm going to take a couple of minutes because some of you are new. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Stroke Awareness Oregon. I usually run into this, just a quick remark about it. It only takes me a second. So we stand for, our mission basically is guided by CARE, and CARE stands for the C is collaboration, where we talk with hospitals, PTs, just like Rachel, other physical therapists and stuff. And then awareness is the FAST campaign, or some go through the other, is it faster, I think is what
Be
the
fast.
Be fast. I'm sorry. Thank you, Bridget. Anyway, so we get the FAST campaign out there, and we do a lot in that, and we're making it a household safety word for everybody so that people know what's going on. Then recovery. We have tons of stroke meetings, and we develop resources and support for our stroke patients and their families. We do the Stroke Warrior meeting, which is this. We do it twice a month, every second and fourth Tuesday. We do a men's club meeting, which Ralph isn't here right now, but we're doing that every third Wednesday of the month. We do a younger stroke meeting. I think I saw Alicia for a second. I don't know if she's still here. She runs that. Sidestep real quick. I get reached out to by tons of people all the time, and I just had somebody reach out to me from Prineville. Actually, I'm lying about that. I was driving through Prineville, and I stopped at a restaurant, and I saw a campaign to raise money for a younger gal who had a stroke. And so I gave her my SAO card, and of course I have another card, and I just said, please have her reach out to me because we do so much for the community. And she needs to be part of that younger stroke survivor meeting that is Alicia is having. And then we do caregiver meetings as well. And so if you have your caregiver and they want to join a meeting, Molly does a fantastic job of those, and you should definitely be a part of that. So that is collaboration, awareness, recovery, and education. So also, I wanted to just let everybody know I'm working on getting the list of people to our meetings. I've got a couple of meetings already planned so far, but we're still working on all these things that you all mentioned to me. I am working hard on that to get that, because that's important that we all have that. SAO just launched the peer-to-peer, which is where we have individuals who will meet one-on-one with people, and it's like a counseling service, but it's another stroke survivor, okay? And so they go and help other stroke survivors, and we know because we've been there, right? And so we just launched that. And Stroke Warrior Radio, which Ralph isn't on here, but usually is. You should look up strokewarriorradio.com. And he loves having speakers, and he loves all that. And so anybody who is, interested in speaking on that, it's really super cool. It's fun. So look that up. Let's see, Joey, thank you so much for running the meeting today. Where'd she go? I can't find her.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
My pleasure.
Joey runs these meetings, and sometimes she's not able, but it's great to have you doing it. So the next Stroke Warrior meeting's on the 12th of March. We're going to have, what we're doing is we're going to have a few survivors tell their story, which is always a very interesting thing, because when we can do that, it opens the door to everybody asking questions, and we can really get some healing and some growth going for one another. So I'm going to reach out to a few of you and see if you'll talk on that. And anybody who wants to, please reach out to me. You can find me on, oh gosh, I don't have my email up right now. I'm embarrassed. Does anybody know it?
Is Keith at Stroke Awareness? Is that it?
No,
That one?
it's, I want the Stroke Awareness Oregon one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm embarrassed. I probably have
Okay.
it right here. Reach out to.
Here it is.
You got it?
Yeah, I think I have it right here. I
Hey,
just can't
hey.
see it.
Hey, Keith, breathe, breathe.
So Keith Taylor. All right. Keith
Yes.
Taylor at strokeawareness.oregon.org.
That's the one. Thank you so much, Kim.
You are welcome.
And if not, reach out any way you can, and they'll get a hold of me. We'll continue to, do what we do. So, all right. Any other points of reference? Any other questions? We got a few more minutes. If anybody wants to say anything, now's the time.
Let's share some good news.
Sounds great. You start, Lane.
I wanted to hear from you guys. But I think, for all of us, I think we go through every day, we start anew. And it's really how we look at the day and our attitude. We've talked about this so much. Kim actually could probably express it better than I can.
That was
Well-
a great point. Go ahead, Kim.
It is a great point, Lane. We talk about it a lot between us. And, one thing I've always said to Lane, I wake up in the morning, and as soon as I put my foot off the bed, I recognize my disability. And then it's up to me to shift and go, oh, that's what I can't do. Now, what can I do? And it really is a matter of me making a choice to right. It is that choice. What can I do today? Instead of, because when I think of what I can't do, it brings me down. I don't even get that far anymore. I just say, okay, and I do what I can, and I continue to cultivate the smile, the gratitude. I'm alive. I mean, I make a grateful list. I mean, that's a really wonderful thing to do. Just get up and start talking about what you're grateful for, your blessings. And so that's, what I would say for all of us. We all have both sides. My body shows it. I have one left side that had, I had the stroke and I lost the left side, and I'm in recovery for that. But I do have a working right side. So my body shows me that I have, what do I want? Do I want to be in sorrow or joy?
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And Kim, you're the epitome of that, frankly. And Lonnie, thank you for bringing it up, first of all, and then bringing Kim into the conversation, because Kim is one of those people. I talked about it last time, actually. Kim doesn't know this, but you are the epitome of someone who looks for the positive. Kim, what has it been, Kim? Has it been 2 years ago when you broke your leg?
Yes, 2021, I snapped the neck of my femur. That was worse than stroke. Literally, the recovery of that was worse than stroke.
Wow.
Was
Wow.
very,
So,
very difficult.
Yeah, but she just has this attitude all the time. And I asked Kim one time if, because most of us, seriously, 95% of us, we have a stroke and our life totally throws a 180 at us, and we go through a depression. And I was no different. I went through a hell of a lot of depression. And most of you on this call, I have talked to personally and have done that. Kim is one of those people who just refused to go through that within herself. And because of that, she is a stand-up woman, and we just appreciate you so much, Kim.
Keith, can I just say something about that? I think it's so important to know that we have moments when I'm tearing up with you saying that. I do have moments that I falter. I am a human being.
Absolutely.
But what I do is through awareness. Now, let's talk about, that's one of our pillars here, awareness. I recognize it and I say, again, I opt for choice. And, so I am not a super, human. I work to be that. I do aspire to that, I will say. But, again, we all can do it. It's important to do it, because the further down we go, the more than we need somebody's help, because we can't grasp up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I am gonna, Keith, can I just say, in April, Keith has just given me a time. I am going to come and talk about these tools that I've been using, and they're for everybody. And there's many different ones. And so I've been really wanting to talk about all these things. So I'm not going to talk anymore today, but.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that, Kim, because, Kim is, she's a stand-up person very much. And I love you, Kim.
Thank you.
So,
I love you too.
all right.
Maybe, Keith,
may
I
I
wonder,
Whoops,
sorry.
Lonnie and then Beth.
I just wondered if we could get maybe Kat to comment. Some of you guys have such great attitudes, and I want to hear from you.
Okay, so let's go to Beth, and then Kat, I'm going to give you the.
I'll go quick. Just to sort of piggyback on what Kim and Lana were saying, if you keep the positive attitude, you find there are really good people in the world. And it takes some, as I say, dinging to
All
get
right.
through the people that aren't so good. But I think the sport of good people, like surrounding yourself with good people, is really important.
Very good. That's right.
Yes.
Surrounding yourself with good people. That is awesome. We're going to go Kat, and then we're going to go to Jim Patterson.
Okay. There's something that's been on my mind for a while. Yeah, I do have a pretty good attitude. I have a really good life. I mean, the stroke threw me for a loop, but like everybody else, I kind of focus on what I can do. And so I'm almost 5 years now. And just a year ago, I still was using my walker to walk, and met a lot of really good therapists and really good people who have helped me. I mean, everything from breathing to pelvic exercises to, to gait retraining. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm almost walking normally.
Yeah.
I've been really inspired by SAO. Like, I know Jim has been running unassisted, and so has Ralph. So it's really fun to meet people who are really inspiring like that. But I have an idea that Jim and I talked about when I met him back in October, I think. I was a professional naturalist in my life, and I took people on hikes. I took people on kayak tours. I did school groups. I mean, it was the best job ever, and I absolutely loved it. And when I had my stroke, of course, I thought, oh, I will get back to that job. And I actually never did. They waited 1.5 years for me, and it was pretty obvious that I would never go back. But being that I was a professional naturalist and I still love to go outside, there's a bunch of things that I've been mulling about. One was that I think I had great friends in my life, but I had nobody who had gone through a stroke in my life. And now I'm trying to get back into like the normal world and go on guided hikes and bird walks and all of that. But I find that with my disability, I'm a lot slower than most people. So it's become really frustrating in that way, that I'm trying to keep up. I'm going on snowshoe hikes where I'm practically running, and really trying to keep up with people who are just strolling. So I thought, how good would it be to meet with other stroke warriors and go outside and make it a social thing? And, something that I think for me, being outside really is my zen. I mean, it's what keeps my emotions up and keeps me in a great mood and keeps me loving life. So Jim was saying, well, you're a professional naturalist. Let's tap into that. Let's see if we can get the first like stroke warriors outdoors type of a group going. So I've been thinking about that for a long time, and just kind of wondering, and this seems like the forum I could pose the question, is it something that people would be interested in doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good, because I wasn't sure what the size of this group was and how many people would be interested in doing that. And I think that, we would do things that everybody could participate in, things that mobility wise, everybody could do. And then maybe have another tier where people who were more mobile could like go to Smith Rock and go for a hike or something.
Yeah. So let me interrupt you for just a second now.
Sure.
And then I'm going to get to Jim, but I want to mention one thing here. So we started this Stroke Warrior meeting, right? When we went through COVID,
yes,
it was Kim O'Kelly and Lanae that had started this off, and they had a speaker. And anyway, so we go through COVID. COVID crushed everything. It was all in person, and we started doing Zoom meetings. And now look at it. I mean, we usually have 20-ish, and it's growing. It can get bigger, but we're getting the word and we're helping people, right? Kat, you have to start this because it's something that is important to you. And I want you to, before the next meeting, I want to see a commitment of some kind. I don't care when, but think about it, think it through, and give us a commitment, because whether you show up by yourself, at least you're showing up for you, and then others will follow. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Very important. Jim, go ahead.
Thank you, Keith. A very good friend of mine who's a Division I college basketball coach shared this with me the other day, and it really resonated. As a stroke warrior, I know that you all know that disappointment is a part of what we live with on a daily basis. Think of it in these terms. Disappointment is a temporary detour on the road to success and bigger and better things in our life.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, temporary detour. I love that. Lonnie, go ahead.
I just wanted to encourage Kat because Kat, I know that there's a number of people in our community that are stroke warriors, but they're Zoom shy.
Mm,
That's
And-
true.
And I think they very well would want to participate in your group. So
love that. Love that,
Yeah.
Lonnie. As a matter of fact, what Lonnie is saying, we've had some people who've come on, and there's been a lot of people who don't choose to come on here. And that's why it's so important that we record these and we get them out, because I said this once before, I've had over 30 people watch them on my own YouTube channel. And so anyway, it's critically important, Lonnie. Great
I'm
point.
almost done.
Kim?
Sorry, my daughter just came back and I just
Ah.
said I'm
Okay, so Lonnie, one more and then
one more
close
quick,
up.
I'm sorry. And Kat, we could include people with other neurological issues. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't have to be restricted to stroke. It could include Parkinson's, a number of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would
Great
love
point.
anybody's ideas on how to reach out to these communities. How do
Very
how
good.
do we market this?
Yes.
Well,
Wow.
you've just started reaching out to this community.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the truth.
So,
So it's
Kat, yeah. I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, Cal, I would love to help you. So
Yeah.
let's talk about
Great.
that. I have some ideas.
Awesome.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome. All right. Last, let's see. I lost my notes here. Remember, if anybody needs the book, just say yes to life. Again, reach out to Stroke Awareness Oregon and get yourself a
Oh.
copy of that, because that book shows how you can go from the stroke and you can be on a positive light. I'm telling you, it's a great book. So just remember that. All right. Anybody? Oh, are there any stroke
Bev.
anniversaries? Anybody have a stroke anniversary this month in February? No?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
Angel.
here's one.
Angel.
Happy
Angel.
stroke
1 month.
anniversary.
1
Yeah,
month.
1 month.
Oh,
One
wow.
month.
One
One
year.
month.
1 year.
Oh,
1 year.
1 year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Yeah.
going the right way. You're going the right
Yeah.
way, Angel.
Yeah.
And please come back and see us again, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Love
Thank
having
you.
you. Well, everybody, thanks so much. Love all of you guys. Oh, Lonnie, one more, or are you just waving? Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks,
Keith.
King.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.